What is up, meal prepping fanatics? It's Bobby, and today we are gonna rock out some healthy and easy meal prepping for college students. Just like I used to do back in the day, it's gonna be delicious and it's gonna be loaded with brain foods, the stuff that makes you focus more, maybe party less, and rock those exams. Because we are making Salisbury steak. Lean and beefy Salisbury steak cooked in a hot cast iron pan and finished with a pan gravy, and a kale and quinoa salad loaded with nuts, herbs, raisins, and all the things your brain needs. So if you love healthy meal prepping that's all about the flavor, you best click that subscribe. I'm rocking out new videos every Friday and I want you to be a part of it. To get this Salisbury steak rockin', in front of me I have 2 pounds of 90-10 ground beef, meaning it's 90% beef and 10% fat. Because it's lean, it's a brain food. It has good protein that feeds your muscles and your brain, and it's low in saturated fat. Now for a Salisbury steak, the seasoning is super easy. I'm gonna reach for good old American ketchup and squeeze in about 1.5 tablespoons. A few shots of Worcestershire sauce. This stuff might be hard to say, but always have a bottle of this in your pantry. It adds such a depth of flavor to this, or meatloaf, or any other recipes where there's ground beef. Next, a spice I don't really use that often, but it's really tasty, is dried mustard powder. Add about 2 teaspoons to the beef. It's gonna add a nice amount of heat to the dish. Shake in a couple tablespoons of freshly sliced green onions. And then to finish it off, a good pinch of kosher salt, about 1.5 teaspoons, and a few cracks of black pepper. Now take off your bling and use your mix-in paws here. And the cool thing about a Salisbury steaks is that it's kind of a mix between a meatloaf and a burger. And this meal is very friendly to college students because all the cooking is being done in one pan and one pot. You don't need an oven, you don't need excess utensils. All right, so just make sure the mixture is very well incorporated, just like you would a meatloaf. Now usually a Salisbury steak calls for about 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs in there to act as a binder, but I don't wanna do that because that'll jack up the carbs and the calories. And now I'm gonna grab about a 6-ounce portion and form it into an oval or like a football. So all the brain foods that I'm using today have one thing in common. They're high anti-inflammatories, antioxidants, and rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Plus, they're gonna just make you think more clearly, make you more alert, and no matter how hungover you are the next day, they're gonna hook you up. Unless you're crazy hungover, then nothing will help you except some hair of the dog. All right, the last Salisbury steak is made. Now I'm preheating a cast iron pan over medium-high heat. Once again, the beauty of this recipe is that almost everything is being done in this pan. Now, normally I would cook with grapeseed oil when I'm doing a medium-high heat, but Bobby's been shopping at Costco and I picked me up some coconut oil, brain food number 2. This is not only a heart-healthy fat, but it really helps with your memory. It'll make you remember everything, whether you want to remember it or not, and it's great for medium-high cooking. So while the pan is preheating, add 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Now, 2 other really cool DIY tips I know for coconut oil is coconut pulling, where you swish it around your teeth and it makes your teeth pearly white like mine. And if you have dry scalp, just run this through your hair. Let it sit in there for 30 minutes. You'll look like a hot, oily mess, but it makes your hair silky and smooth. And yes, this is a new hairstyle. And yes, this is a new beard. We're trying out new things today. If we like them, maybe they'll stick. All right, let's get these Salisbury steaks in the pan. So make sure you lay it away from you so the oil doesn't splatter. And then push down to make a little bit of a well. That'll prevent them from blowing up.
Isn't it gonna smell like coconut?
Desi's probably asking a question that a few of you are asking right now. This will not taste like coconut because it's a mild coconut flavor, but there's so much beefy flavor in there. Plus with the gravy on it later on, it ain't gonna taste like a pina colada. So I did put a reminder to get a new splatter guard. So slap that down. Whether you're in college or not, cleaning up sucks. If you want one of these, check out the link down below in the description box. These steaks are going for 5 minutes on the first side and then I'll flip them. Beautiful. Look at the crust in that, you guys. That is so much flavor, and that came from the preheated cast iron pan. Splatter guard back on, 5 more minutes, and in case you're wondering, I'm not jamming all the Salisbury steaks in the pan at once. I'm doing 2 batches because if I did that, it would overcrowd the pan, the temperature of the pan would drop, and they wouldn't get that crust. They would actually boil in their own juices. Let's get these Salisbury steak out of the pan. They smell so good. Now remember, they're lean. They're 90% beef, 10% fat. So you gotta be careful not to overcook them. Otherwise they go dry really quickly. All right, keep the pan on, leave all that delicious fat in there, and then take your remaining 2 Salisburys and get them in the pan. All right, splatter guard back on. You know, it's funny, they call the Salisbury steak the poor man's steak. And since you're in college, you're most likely poor. So this is your kind of grub. All right, let me get the last 2 out of the pan.
It really looks like a steak.
See, if Desi thinks it looks like a steak, that means it does. Plus, it's a fraction of the price of a steak. The smells are incredible, but any decent steak needs a sauce. And I'm gonna show you the easiest pan sauce ever. Check out the bottom of this pan. All those crusty bits are delicious. And by the way, when I was in college, I only had 1 pan in a toaster oven, and I rocked incredible meals for my friends, for girls. I would impress girls with sick dinners in my tiny 1-bedroom apartment. So you guys have no excuse if for some reason you don't have a cast iron pan. 39 bucks on Amazon. I'll put my favorite one down in the description box. Now, to release the flavor from the pan, just drizzle in some beef broth here. I'd say about a half a cup. The French chefs would call this deglazing the bottom of the pan, but since I went to college in Wisconsin-Madison, we just call them crusty bits, y'all. That's gonna take it off of the bottom of the pan. Wait, did I go to school in Wisconsin or Southern Tennessee? That was horrible. We call them crusty bits on the pan there. That's how we talked in Wisconsin. But to up the flavor even more, I'm gonna take more of this ketchup here and squeeze in about a teaspoon. And then a little more of that Worcestershire sauce for flavor. Now these are the easiest sauces because it'll be done in about 5 minutes, and then we'll make it super rich and creamy by adding some cornstarch.
Just so you know, the accents are kind of...
What do you guys think? Bobby's accents, thumbs up or thumbs down? Because Dusty is clearly a thumbs down on that one. All right, so go ahead and stir all that together. I'm gonna let it cook for just a couple minutes until it reduces. Now to thicken up our gravy, I'm mixing together a little bit of cornstarch with water. That's gonna be our slurry. And then go ahead and add half of it to start. And then mix it in. Now you actually have to bring cornstarch to a boil to activate its thickening power. So I'm gonna start with half, and if I need more, I could always add more. Now let's pour some of that sauce all over the hot meatloaf. Look at that, you guys. So silky and smooth. That sauce is money. And there it is, you guys. 5 Salisbury steaks for the week that are lean, high in protein, and totally gonna hook you up for lunch or dinner. I'm gonna put these down and get cracking on the quinoa and kale salad. On to brain food number 3, kale. I honestly eat a big kale salad every day. If you follow me on the Flav City Snapchat or Instagram stories, you know that. This stuff is high in vitamin A and K and just really good for memory and staying focused. But whenever I have a big bunch of kale, I whip out the smallest gadget in my kitchen, the kale leaf stripper. What's cool about this is you feed it in the hole, and the stem comes out and the leaf gets separate because you don't want to eat these. They're way too tough and fibrous. Once again, if you want to get this, I think it's like $7. I'll put it down below in the description box. This makes the kale stripping that much easier. And then grab a bunch of the kale leaves, roll it up like a cigar, and then slice it pretty fine. I like to eat a finely sliced kale salad. And then add it to a large bowl. Now for the next brain food, I'm taking my big old pot of quinoa that I make every week and grab 1 heaping cup of cooked quinoa. Every morning I will eat a big quinoa breakfast bowl, and I honestly wish I knew about quinoa and kale back in college because I was a terrible student. I had to study my ass off to get B-, C+, and I'm so happy that I never have to go to another learning institution again. But if I had the brain food, maybe I could have been a NASA engineer. Who knows? Just saying. So go ahead and add that quinoa to the kale, and I'll put the quinoa cooking instructions down below in the recipe. And then I'm gonna reach for celery. Not only am I a crunchaholic Rex, but celery is really good for the brain and it's super low in calories and it's just super fresh. Go in with about a half a cup of sliced celery. And then everybody should have a handful of nuts per day. I'm using walnuts for this salad. Once again, more crunch, super high in protein and really good for the brain. So go ahead and add that, about 2 tablespoons. Go in with 2 tablespoons of raisins and then grate 2 carrots and add that to the salad. Now, I know you guys are staring at your iPhones and your Macs like crazy, so the carrots are gonna help with your eyes because they probably need all the help they can get. All right, To dress this, I'm going super simple, Bobby classic, olive oil, lemon juice, salt and pepper, because there's so much flavor in here. You don't have to make a vinaigrette, and probably you don't even want to make a vinaigrette. Drizzle in 2 to 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Not only is extra virgin olive oil a heart-healthy oil and will make your skin glow like the Tuscan sun, but it's a heart-healthy oil that is loaded with polyphenols. This stuff is the real deal, you guys. Then add the juice of 1 lemon, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a few cracks of black pepper. Now this, you guys, is a super easy salad that is not only beautiful to look at, but it can last in your fridge for 5 days. And because the kale is super hearty, it won't get wilted. Now, for my favorite part, quality control. Money, you guys. So much flavor, so much texture going on in there. Let's build our meal prep containers for the week. Glass meal prep containers, check. Seriously badass looking meal prepping for a college student in front of me that's looking awesome. Now let's build our container by grabbing one of the Salisbury steaks and then a big healthy scoop of the kale and quinoa salad. Meal prep is done, and I thought you would never ask for me to try this. I'm going into that Salisbury steak. Don't forget to dip it in some of that gravy. I'm still practicing the 30 bites. They say it's good for digestion, but it really tests my patience. But damn, that Salisbury steak has so much flavor. The gravy on top is silky and delicious, and the meat is loaded with flavor and super juicy. You guys, if you rock this on campus, you are gonna be a stud or a studette, be healthy, your brain's gonna be hooked up, and Desi really wanted me to let you know that your stomach is your second brain. Whatever you put in there is gonna dictate how you feel, and Desi was also telling me that your stomach has, what was it, 10,000 neurons or something like that? Hundreds of thousands of neurons. So you have to treat your stomach as you would your brain. You would not put crap in, otherwise you get crap out. It's 100 million? It's 100 million neurons in the stomach, okay? Now we got it set. Now everyone's good to go. So you guys, the recipe is down below in the description box. Oh, regarding storage, don't store the steak with the salad. I just do that for presentation purposes and for ye old Instagram photo later on, because you would never want to heat up the salad when you heat up the steak. So put them separately. Storage and reheating instructions are down below with the macros, all the kitchen gear I used. Before you leave, hook me up, subscribe to my channel, and I have 2 more meal prepping for college student friendly videos going right below me. Check them out. I'll see you next week like I always do. #keep on cooking.